Guess it helps if I mute my mic. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group this morning. It is June 4th, 2021. Our agenda this morning, we'll start out with success stories. We'll then go to our 30-second reductions. We'll have everybody put that into the chat box. Then we'll go to our committee reports. We'll hear about workshop, job fairs that are coming up, the practice interview team, the interview success workshop, the career tip of the week. And then we will do our main event, which this morning is open forum. We'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. Let's see here. Here we go. For everybody who's on Zoom right now, if your full name is not in the chat box, full first and last name, please go and just hover over the little camera microphone and then be sure to rename yourself so we get your full name in there. That way we're able to copy that information and get you onto our roster this afternoon, along with the information that's in the that you put in the chat box when you put in your 30-second introductions. For those on Zoom, we're going to have open forum today, so you're welcome to just unmute your mic and ask your question, or if you want to just put a comment into the chat box, please do so. For those on Facebook, you're welcome just to enter your comments into the comment field, and I'm monitoring that feed, and I'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your comment's name and picture to appear. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2007, I took over the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over when the guy who was running the group at the time had gotten a job, and so that's when I took it over. So I've been doing that since 2007. In 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org to help the unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And in 2012, I launched a second website called careerusa.org to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area with the same issues that we were having here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, and you'll hear more about that in just a couple of minutes. Well, we like to start the meeting off with good news. Nobody emailed me this week, so do we have any landings? If everybody has landed, please unmute your mic and please tell us your good news. Going once, going twice. Okay, well, I guess no landings today. By the way, my understanding is today is National Donut Day. And for those people who, if you happen to go by Krispy Kreme, you know, if you go by Krispy Kreme and you have your vaccination card, you can show your vaccination card and they will give you a free donut. But today, if you go, they'll give you 2 donuts. So just FYI, you can stop by Krispy Kreme with your vaccination card and get 2 free donuts today. All right. All right, it's time for everybody, if you will, open up your chat box, if you will. And what we want you to do is please put your information in there, your name, comma, phone number, comma, email address, comma, position you're looking for, comma, a couple target companies, and then hit the return key. And that way everything will be all right together. And when you do this, I will copy all this information. I will put it into an email. I will put it out this afternoon to everybody, who's here on the meeting, along with the agenda, with the contact list. So you'll be able to reach out and help other people. So by doing this, you know, what we're sort of saying is, you know, help somebody. If you see somebody else on the list who's looking for a company that you can help, we'd really appreciate it. So let's put 30 seconds on the clock. If you're still typing away, please continue to type. Please put your information in there. That'd be really great. Anything we can do to help anything we can do to help each other is very, very beneficial. All right, it's time to hear about job and career fairs that are happening, because some of them are actually, there's actually some of them happening now, and they're meeting in person, some of them, and training and workshops. So good morning, Eldon.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy Friday to everybody, and happy Donut Day. That's just what I need. As Jeff indicated, I'm going to tell you today about career and job fairs and special workshops or events. This is information that comes from the website careerdfw.org, and there's the calendar tab right there showing everything you ever wanted to know about your job search and finding out about things in the DFW area and beyond. All right, I go through these things fairly quickly, so if you hear something that catches your ear and want to find out more, I urge you to go to the calendar, click on the right tab, and click on the item that you're interested in. You'll usually find a Zoom link or a Facebook link or a registration link or some other additional information about that particular event. All right, this week's career and job fairs. The driver and warehouse hiring event at McLean will be held Friday, June 4th, which is today at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 7301 Trinity Boulevard in Fort Worth. To learn more, there is a link on the calendar. Also this week, United Electronic Recycling event will be held Saturday, June 5th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at First United Methodist Church at 3160 East Spring Creek Parkway in Plano. If you have electronic items that you'd like to recycle, this is the place to take them. And every third Saturday, they also have a paper shredding. So if you have a lot of documents you'd like to get rid of, that's the place to do it. Aramark Denton Flowers Baking Fair job will be held Tuesday, June 8th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn in Denton at 3110 Colorado Boulevard in Denton. And there's a person on there to contact if you want to find out more about that. Go to the calendar. Hire Dallas, the mayor's virtual job fair event will be held Thursday, June 10th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And there is a link in the calendar that will tell you more about that one. There'll be a warehouse hiring event again in McLean, Thursday, June 10th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. This time at 4721 Mountain Creek Parkway in Dallas. And there is a link to learn more about that. And also another recycling event, United Recycling event at Saturday, June 12th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at St. Andrew's United Methodist Church, and that's at 5801 West Plano Parkway in Plano. This week's special workshops or events. Online Networking Mondays, Monday, June 7th from 1 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. Join Career DFW and CareerUSA.org each Monday from 1 to 2:15 p.m. for Networking Mondays. There's a Zoom link and a Facebook link to participate in that event. Again, online, LinkedIn Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Join Locke Alderson, Terry Sullivan, Ruth Lipsky, or Kurt Vondemutter each week for an online session on LinkedIn. There is also a Facebook link and a Zoom link for that one. There'll be an employability with a background seminar on Tuesday, June 8th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Opening Doors for Women in Need at 3600 Horn Street in Fort Worth. This is for both men and women. And there is a link on there on Facebook to find out more information about that. Identify and Research Target Company workshop will be held Tuesday, June 8th from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And this is presented to Career Jumpstart Ministries. It's open to all. There's a Zoom link for that. And this is presented courtesy of Kip Lifson, who I believe our group has heard on several occasions. It's a very worthwhile seminar to help you identify target companies and research potential companies. How to create a winning LinkedIn job search strategy for 2021 workshop will be held Tuesday, June 8th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. You need to register in advance for that, and there is a link on the calendar to do so. The Who You Know Career Transition Summit will be held Wednesday, June 9th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. There's a Zoom link and a Facebook link for that. There's a registration link for that. And you must register to attend. This is hosted by Foster Williams, and I urge you, if you don't know Foster already, I urge you to get to know Foster Williams. Again, online, Interviewing Wednesdays at 1 p.m., Wednesday, June 9th from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. This is a continuation of the 13-part workshop put on by Mark McDonald, who's the leader of our pit crew, and Walt Glass, who's the leader who provides our interview success workshop. This week's session is session 6, interview openings, closings, and follow-up. Again, that's Wednesday, June 9th from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. There'll be a workshop on companies, contacts, and credibility, research solutions for job search success, Thursday, June 10th from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. This is put on by Mike Ray and Kip Lifson again. It's a great workshop to find out more about those topics. There's a free registration link on the calendar. And finally, Resume Thursdays online. Join us each week for Resume Thursdays, Effective Resumes with Carol Brickell, Certified Professional Career Coach. And there's a Zoom link and again, a Facebook link for that one. And that's it for this week. A lot busier this week. It's a good sign.
Yep, things are starting to pick up. So Eldon, thank you very much. All righty. If you happen to know somebody who just lost their job, please let them know about the Career DFW and Career USA websites. They're both here to help you. And right there on the very front page, I've got something. I just lost my job. What do I do now? It'll take you to a great one-page article that will help get you prepared into your job search and help you get started. And even if you've been in job search for a little while, you may want to go check out the handout, especially the one from Gail Bridgman, the job search readiness checklist. Are you prepared? It's got some really great things to help get you started to make sure that you're really ready to go. All right, time to hear from the practice interview team. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Jeff, and good morning, everyone. And I need to get some new cards made that say practice early and practice often, because that's the pit crew mantra. And why do we say that? Because every time you practice, you're going to improve your chances of landing sooner. So, money in your pocket if you land sooner, and practicing leads to being able to handle any interview situation. And so that's what we're all about, giving you a chance to practice. And to do that, you send in a job description and a resume, and it's very personalized and customized, the experience we get. So we take that information and we study up in advance. And when I say we, that's the hiring managers that are going to be interviewing you. And indeed, all of them have been hiring managers. Most of them are in job transitions, so we're very empathetic to your situation. And also, besides all of us being hiring managers, all of us have been involved in, reductions in force. We've been out of work. And as I said, many are currently out of work. So the interviews take a little bit over an hour, depending on how many questions you have at the end. It's a panel interview, about 45 minutes for the actual interview, and then feedback afterwards. And you can ask any questions you'd like to ask. You get a recording of the whole session, so you can review how and make your own assessment about how you did. And it's absolutely free. We're all volunteers, so you can sign up for this anytime. So when you're ready to practice, and I encourage you to practice early, practice often. We just had a candidate who practiced for a job, and he thought the interview was going to be on June 4th, which was this week. And then it got postponed to June 11th. So he came back and practiced again. So, this is the kind of thing the pit crew can do for you, is give you, ample, if you have time, give you ample opportunity to practice your interviewing. So when you're ready, go ahead and send that information into dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. There's the email address. That'll go directly to me. And I'll go to work setting up your practice interview, which takes a couple of days to get everybody's schedule aligned, your schedule and the 3 interviewers. So include in that email when you're available for 2 days and 3 days ahead of time. So about 80% of the time we're able to do it in 2 days. And then the 3rd day is backup. So if you send it to me today, we'd be shooting for Tuesday with Wednesday as a backup day. So that's how the Dallas Pit Crew works. I encourage you to link in with me. All you have to do is send me a little message that says, we met on the North Dallas Career Focus Group meeting. I like to know where I met you, and I don't respond to requests that don't come in with some kind of comment so just a simple one that says, here's how we met, and I'll add you to my network. And of course, that's going to help you find contacts inside your target companies as you manage your job search. And then Eldon already mentioned the webinar every Wednesday afternoon at 1 o'clock. So coming up is openings and closings and follow-up. And then that's on the 16th. So 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about how to answer the compensation question and how to answer the question about why you left your last job. So we'll spend a whole session on just those 2 questions. That's how important it is to handle those well. Now, we have just recently added the ability for the pit crew to offer one-way interviews. And this is where there's no interviewer on the other end of the line. It's a video recording, but it's just done by a program that will ask you the questions. Sometimes they're pre-recorded, but sometimes they just appear in text. And then you get a few seconds, like 30 seconds to prepare, and then you deliver your answer, and it's recorded and somebody reviews it later. I got to tell you, it's a very strange experience. It's definitely worth practicing if you're going to encounter one of these. And this is completely confidential. And so the way this works is we have been donated a tool through Jeff's effort. We got a tool from Easy Hire. It's a program that companies hire to do this one-way interviewing, and we have access to it. I'll give you the questions in advance. And then when you engage the tool, that's the last time I'm involved. So you'll see the questions, you'll give the answers, you'll be sent the video afterwards, and then you can do whatever you want to with it. Nobody else is ever going to see that unless you choose to show it to them. So one-way interview, I highly recommend you take advantage of that. Get prepared. It's kind of the way things are going these days. All right, did I forget anything?
No, I don't think so.
I think I'm good.
Well,
Okay,
I
thank you,
hear,
Jeff.
I just was checking the chat and I see that we have a landing. So Christina, do you want to get on the line and tell us your good news?
Yeah, I was responding to the recruiters. I've taken advantage of the resume workshop and finally updated my resume and did some of the things with LinkedIn, got to the more than 500. And somebody in the Dallas Fourth group reached out, and Alice Hong reached out and invited me to her accountability group, which kept me in action. And I was like, okay, recruiter, go ahead and submit me. And I was surprised how well that first interview went. Then we had a second interview, but the pay rate was low. So I talked to the client satisfaction at the recruiting firm, and we asked for more money and relocation assistance, and we got the package I asked for.
Well, congratulations. So what will you be doing?
I will be quality control chemist at a plant in Gulfport, Mississippi that bought what used to be a Phillips of Magnesia plant, and they make, laxatives for nursing homes.
Oh,
And they need somebody like, right away.
oh, well, congratulations. Very good. So how long was the process from when you first saw the job, or you said a recruiter reached out to you, or you saw the job?
Yeah. So it was probably less, from the time of the first interview was 3 weeks at most, and 5 weeks maybe.
Okay.
Right. I've been unemployed since September, but only seriously working at it since about February or April.
Okay. Well, congratulations. You make number 61 for the group. So please, if you will, be sure to put your information, where you're going to work and your job title, I guess, in the chat. And that way I'll make sure I update the roster this afternoon, and I'll get that out to everybody. So Christina, thank you. I know you've been part of many of our workshops over the last couple months. So congratulations, and hopefully we'll never see you again, but we'll be here if you need to come back and join us.
Well, I can't tell you how many people I've told about, because you make it so easy. I mean, I've told people who aren't looking but would be in the position to know people that might be looking. Tell them to go to careerusa.org.
Well, good. Well, thank you very, very much for the promotion. We really, really appreciate it. Well, thank you. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to who's up next. Walt. Good morning, Walt.
Well, good morning and congratulations, Christina. Great news. Enjoy your new job and enjoy working again, which is where we're all striving for. So what do I do? Well, I'm Walt Glass, and I'm an interview success coach. And what I do is offer a interview success workshop for you to learn how you can differentiate yourself and how you can sell yourself and what things you can do to prepare for an interview. So I enjoy helping people feel very confident in an interview. So if you'd like to get to that point where you can interview with confidence, this is what my mission is. So what I offer is a very fundamental course in finding out how we sell ourselves, just exactly what is that. And we sell three things. We sell who we are, what we do, and how we can help. We want to make sure that we have a culture fit. How do we do that? We want to make sure that our experience and background is well known and able to demonstrate our abilities and skills in our background, in our education, certifications, etc. And we also want to sell what is it that we can do for them, which is often not part of an interview. I see that so often. People, we talk about what we do more than anything else, but they don't hire us just for what we do. They hire us for what we can do for them. And so what are those things and how can we help them? So it's very informal. Look me up on LinkedIn. It gives you details about the workshop, and you just send an email to me at my yahoo.com address, which is reserved for the workshop. And I would give you availability dates because you need to be registered to attend. You also will get a video of your interview. And I also offer a one-way thing, the same service that Mark offers, but it's a way to practice some of the things that you learn. And we really need to practice these one-way videos and getting used to talking into a camera and doing those kind of things. And so it's an excellent way to do that. It is for your use only. It's not one that we'll review. It's just for you to be able to practice those fundamentals and to practice the video part as well. So if you're interested in doing that, just come on down, sign up. I'll be glad to have you. There's no need to have a workshop where we're sitting there and stressful, we have anxiety, we've got fear, we got concerns, we're afraid we're going to mess up and all that sort of thing. Well, the heck with all that. Why don't we just come and figure out how we can learn to improve? Just put your learning hat on so we can have some learning without squirming. So I ask you, to get a job, shouldn't we prepare to win the interview fair and square? Well, if you're anxious and you're not steady, it's practice where you get ready, and the competition had better beware.
Thank you very, very much. Wonderful. Great, great, great. All right, it's time to get the career tip of the week. Kelly McLean is going to be reading it for us this week. So Kelly, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Excellent. All right. And I think I have my video on. Okay, good. The tip of the week is avoid burnout without breaking your job search habit. A strategic approach to finding a new job will help you maintain focus for the long haul. The author is Terry Saylor. Looking for a new job, whether by choice or by necessity, is hard work. Applying for jobs online can feel like running on an endless treadmill, exhausting and humiliating. And the constant stress and long-term joblessness can lead to burnout, which can lead to abandoning your search before finding the right job. Before admitting defeat, consider new approaches that will help you maintain your job search habit without wearing you down. Leslie Bordeaux, founder of BVOH Searching and Consulting, an executive search and consulting firm based in San Francisco, and Steve Dalton, career program director for the full-time MBA program at Duke University School of Business and author of The 2-Hour Job Search, offer advice on how to maintain a job search habit for the long haul to avoid burnout. 1, maintain visibility. LinkedIn is the go-to tool for recruiters and hiring managers, and elevating your presence there. Elevating your presence on that platform will help them find you. Keeping your profile current, connecting with every professional you meet, and engaging on the platform by sharing, liking, and commenting on content will help you stay visible in the marketplace. She suggests recruiting someone you trust to serve as a sounding board, provide support, extend your search through their professional contacts, and help you keep tabs on the job market. This could be a friend, a colleague, a former manager, or recruiter you trust. And this critical time in your career, these colleagues can give you a tremendous amount of advice and support, and might even directly help you find a new job. 2, schedule informational meetings. People tend to quantify their job search by the number of applications they place and the number of hours they spend doing so, but those don't correlate to success, Dalton said. Putting yourself in the hunt among other job candidates by applying to online job postings without referrals, vying for one job over and over, is a recipe for burnout. One way to avoid job search fatigue is to flex your curiosity and expand your horizon by scheduling informational meetings with successful professionals you admire. Rather than inquiring about job openings at their companies, ask for their insights and how they achieve success in their own careers. They will be responsive because people enjoy talking about themselves. These professionals are strangers when you first meet them, and expressing genuine interest in their opinions, their knowledge, and what they have learned along the way will help you turn a stranger into an ally. 3, seek help from career counselors. It's frustrating to apply for random jobs over and over with no results. Instead of hitting the rapid application buttons for job listings, put some efforts into your search and seek out an expert who can analyze reasons why you are not getting results. Improving the way your resume is written or applying to the types of jobs better suited to your skills and background might help. When you get to the interview stage, career counselors can help you put your best self forward. Often I see candidates get the first interview, but they don't get called back for a second interview, which demonstrates improvement may be needed there. Personal coaches and counselors can help you develop your personal brand, improve your resume, and help you become the best version of yourself during an interview. 4, evaluate your career path. Being in the job market for a long time with no success, looking in new directions may help you avoid feeling burned out, Bordeaux advised. Instead of giving up, seek opportunities in a different type of organization. If you have an entrepreneurial spirit, this may be a good time to start your own business. It just comes down to having the motivation, desire, drive, and courage to reinvent yourself and harness your special skills to reach your full potential. I love asking people what they really love to do and how they can package their passion into something that also makes money. 5, take a break. At interviews, your frustration can come through in a way that doesn't paint a very best picture for your employer. If you exude desperation in the marketplace, potential employers may assume this is the approach to your job search is predictive of how you will approach the job. Even though it's tough financially, you may need to take a break from your job search if you can afford it. She suggested using downtime to take a class, further your skills, or do something fun to get away from the fatigue of the job search. Consulting and contracting is also a great option to keep your skills fresh, learn new ones, and generate income while you are looking for the perfect long-term opportunity. 6, be strategic. There are millions of job seekers and millions of companies hiring, but there is only one of you, so you must be methodical. Dalton suggests scheduling informational interviews with representatives of companies you are most interested in learning about. Dalton's methodology also calls for creating a list of 40 companies you admire. Consider companies that might not be having their doors knocked down by throngs of people looking for a job, and where it is easier to find someone who will talk with you. Using LinkedIn tools, searching for things you might have in common with those 40 companies, such as college alumni or contacts who work there. Rank them in order of their desirability as a potential employer, and visit sites such as Indeed or Glassdoor to see if they have posted any jobs fitting your qualifications. This exercise will help you narrow your list to the top 5 companies to target for outreach and to cultivate relationships that may lead to new opportunities. You may not walk away from them with a job, but you will walk away a richer person for the experience. Again, if you'd like to revisit this information, the career tip of the week can be found at the careerdfw.org website. Thanks and best to you, everyone.
Kelly, thank you very much for stepping in this week. Thank you very much. All right. Well, here's something new, the lunch report. We haven't had this in well over a year. And I've decided that I'm sick and tired of having a sandwich for Friday, my Friday lunch after this meeting here. So next Friday, we're going to have our first, if you want to get together in person, hopefully you're vaccinated if you come. But if you'd like to meet us I am dying for some Mama's Pizza. So next Friday, June 11th at 12:30, if you'd like to meet us after the meeting, you're welcome to come to Mama's Pizza. Sorry for those people who live out of town, but for those here in the DFW area, if you'd like to join us, you're welcome to do so. I will be there next Wednesday, and I do not plan to have breakfast that day because I plan to eat lots of pizza, which I've not eaten in well over a year. So come join us. It's on West Parker Road, just a half block west of Custer. And I'll put this back up again next week, and I'll make sure to put an email out to everybody who's on the North Dallas Plano email distribution list, so you'll have that information. All right, we're going to have open forum here in just a second. Hopefully you have some questions about your job search, and you can ask away. This is just be open for everybody to ask questions and get whatever answers and advice you'd like to offer and ask. Coming up sessions that we have coming up next Friday, Jeff Crilly will be with us to talk about free publicity. On the 18th, the one-page bio. This is a great tool. I think that if you don't have a bio, you really need to sit on this presentation. This will be by Minna Brown, who wrote one of the co-authors of the book called Be Sharp. Minna told me, I'm only speaking to your group now. I don't speak to any of the career groups anymore. So you definitely want to join us Friday the 18th, because if you don't have a one-page bio, you need to get one. And if you happen to have a Kindle, I think last time I looked, the book Be Sharp was free on Kindle. So you can reach out and, if you've got a Kindle account, you should be able to access the book Be Sharp by Minna Brown. And then on the 25th, what's going on in Richardson? John Jacobs, who's the vice president of the Richardson Economic Development Board, will be with us to tell us what's going on in the Richardson corridor and what's happening with businesses here around Richardson, here in Richardson, Texas. Okay, just a quickie disclaimer here. Try to do this once a month. Career DFW and the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group are two separate organizations. Career DFW is a 501c3. I started back in 2008. The North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group is a bunch of great people who used to get together, and hopefully we'll be able to get together before the end of the year. And they meet on Friday mornings and they share leads and help each other. Really just, two great, just a great group of people on Friday. The only common thread is that I happen to lead both at this point. If you'd like to overthrow me on a Friday and take this over and start running the group, you're welcome to do so. Just let me know. But you're not going to get Career DFW out of my hands. Those are mine to keep forever and ever. Okay, so it's time for open forum. We will talk about whatever it is you'd like to talk about. You are welcome to unmute your mic and ask away. If you've got a question, ask and let's find out. Kelly, you want to start?
Hi.
Yes.
Yes, please. So my table topic for this Friday morning, and I just set it out there, and I'd love some advice because I know we have some really great and talented people on the line. And here's the question. Do you contact a recruiter about a job opening or not? And what I mean by that is Carol Brickle is fantastic on Resume Thursday in suggesting that a good thing for job seekers to do after they've applied for a position online, if they can locate the actual recruiter, say, for example, through LinkedIn, which it seems like that's becoming more and more easy to do. Her suggestion is to reach out to them directly. And the rationale being is that if you can truly say to them that you are indeed qualified for the position that they've placed, then more than likely you're potentially saving them time and effort. So they might actually pull your application from a stack and take a look. I think there's a lot of benefit to that. Carol says that it can save time for recruiters. She's personally experienced that and welcomes that type of contact. On the other side, because there's always a flip side to the coin, I was speaking to someone who I knew directly at a company that I was applying for. So doing what we're advised to do, which is network in. And I asked her, what are your thoughts now that I've applied through the ATS system and you've referred me, of actually going ahead and contacting the recruiter, or potentially maybe one step further, contacting the hiring manager directly. And her response was, oh, yeah, no, you don't want to do that. That's not a good idea. And I'm like, really? Okay, because I'm getting that advice. Sometimes it might make sense just to say, hey, here I am out of 300. And she's like, no, really, don't do that. They won't welcome your in-mail via LinkedIn. And I'm like, oh, okay, duly noted. So I think like anything, there's two sides to a coin, but does anyone have any advice when you can actually find that recruiter and you are tempted to take that step? Could it help you or harm you? Thoughts?
I don't know if it helps you or harms you, but I recently applied to a position, and with that position on LinkedIn, well, I found the position someplace else. I went to LinkedIn, and the recruiter was there associated with the LinkedIn posting, right? And there was her in-mail. So I directly contacted her, but I never heard from her. So, I don't know. And then I directly contacted hiring managers, and my most recent and kind of funny experience was I found the hiring manager. I contacted her through LinkedIn. She direct messaged me back to go to my email and find out she had rejected me. I was like, you could have just said it could have just said it in the direct mail, but I've tried it. I've gotten contact both ways. I haven't gotten further past the second interview though, so I don't know.
Anybody else? Comments, suggestions? Yes, no?
Yeah, maybe a better idea to track down the hiring manager for the position and make a contact, not the recruiter.
So I got a question, Kelly. So when you said you contacted somebody else in the company who advised you not to do it, you knew this other person?
Yes, actually, she was a contact that I made through my professional organization. She was wonderful. I mean, the advice that we do receive as job seekers about networking into a company, it truly can be invaluable. Just from that conversation, I gleaned so much more information about the transition that the company is in, the actual section of the company where the job sits. So it was really valuable. But when she was like, yeah, no, I don't think they'd appreciate you contacting them.
So I guess
It was a strong recommendation not to do that.
so
Like that,
my
that was
question
not
was,
appreciated.
was she willing to forward your resume or your bio along to those people?
The way she's doing it is not directly to them, but there is somehow at the company an internal reference system where they can say, I am, associated with this person, or I can refer this person in. So it does get elevated through the system. Who it actually gets dispatched to, if it kind of goes to the top for a recruiter or ultimately gets put in front of a hiring manager, I don't know. But she didn't give voice to actually saying, I'm going to forward this on to the hiring manager. I think it was just more, I'm going to follow. I think they're very formal. Let's just call it that. I mean, maybe it's just the nature of things. Some companies are more informal, some are more formal. This was very formal and I think structured. And so that even for her, it's I'm going to go by the prescribed procedure.
And maybe
Kelly.
that's the answer to your question. Maybe that particular culture wants it done one particular way, but that shouldn't preclude you, if you don't know about other cultures, from contacting them directly, right? Now you know how this one wants it, but that's not necessarily so for others. So I wouldn't not do it because of one particular type of culture.
Raul, you wanted
Kelly.
to make a comment?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
During this week, I have a particular experience that I tried to apply for a company, and I found that in that company was a contact that I knew for a previous job. I contact this guy, and this guy was able to talk with the manager, and I get my interview. Now, if I didn't know this guy, probably I don't have any interview. It's not so much if somebody know you to make you push a little bit to get the interview. And after that, if you have the skills for the position, probably you are referring for somebody. That is a lot better to go into the pile of the system. That is my experience. I applied for several jobs, but with the contact inside, I get my interview directly. Now, I'm not saying that if you don't have the knowledge or you don't have the skill, you will be getting the job. I'm not saying that all the jobs apply for each case. I'm curious also to know if I didn't know somebody and I researched this guy for LinkedIn because I know that that company have a position, if it's a good idea or not to try to reach this contact that is doing a similar job and say, oh, hey, how you doing? I want to know more about your company. And after that, in one point, if you have a call or you have any kind of contact, move forward and say, okay, I'm looking for a job, right? But that is my experience. If you have the contact, you are like Mark says every time that he's telling about interview, you are jumping the line. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for
Gary,
sharing. And I guess my follow-up is I'm going to take some advice out of the tip of the week because through LinkedIn, I also found some alumni from the university. And, you know, the reality is, even if it were 50-50, maybe I send an email and go, hey, we both got MBAs from Loyola, you know, let's chat. You know, it may get a response, it might not, but we have to try. And again, I guess be open. Sometimes it's going to work with a company or a culture or a person, and then other times maybe crickets. But I appreciate everybody weighing in. Thank you.
yeah, Gary, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, having been connected with job search groups over the last 20 plus years, I've run into a lot of people, part of accountability groups, that have had scenarios very similar to Kelly's. What I've gleaned from that is it's a crapshoot. Half the people have tried to do it and they were successful. Half of them tried it and they weren't successful. So it's somebody got, the only advice I might say is pray about it before you do it. I'm sorry, but that's the history I've seen.
Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack here. So let me approach it. So your probability of being contacted just applying in the open, let's say, is about 2%. So right, so anything you can do is probably going to raise your probability. Now there's a chance it takes it from 2% to 0. Okay. But and so let me keep going. You don't necessarily want to say you're qualified for the position. There'll be a lot of people qualified for the position. What you want to say is you have what they need. Okay. And you don't want to send an email or an in-mail. You want to call them. Now you may end up leaving a message. Okay, but your message is, I have what you need. Now, why would you say that? Okay. You would say that because job descriptions are notoriously inaccurate, not accurate. Okay, they're not in priority order. They probably weren't done by the current hiring manager. They may be several years old. Okay, and you know, you're not just going to reach out where you match 90%. Okay, because of all the things I just said. So you want to have a conversation with the recruiter. Let me back up for a second. Do not reach out to the hiring manager either. That's probably one of the quickest ways, you know, to get you down to 0%. Is, you know, recruiting and internal HR organizations exist to shield the hiring manager from a bunch of phone calls that distract them from what they need to do in their daily job. So you need to reach out to the recruiter. And you need to reach out and have a phone call, okay? And you need to say, I have what you need, and then be prepared to tell them how you can help them with the things you can help them with, which may only be half or so of the items on the job description. But if you get a chance to have a conversation with them, you're going to find out pretty quickly if the half that you do have is an important half, and then, you'll get some feedback. Now you may have to leave a message, right? So, don't leave a long message. Just say, I believe I have what you need. Mention one or two things that you want to talk about, and then you're going into follow-up mode, right? And so, like I said, there's a lot to unpack here. So now you're going to try to be reaching out to them on a regular basis, until you, determine that the opportunity's passed. But, your motivation is, I have what you need. We really need to talk. And let's do that as soon as we can, because I can shorten this job search for you. That's how I can help you.
So Mark, I understand that. So when you want to reach out to HR and leave that voicemail, and you said don't contact the hiring manager, but if you have contacts inside the company, would it be beneficial to have those people say, hey, here's somebody, reaching to the hiring manager, hey, here's somebody you need to look at? Would that be beneficial, or should they just go to HR?
That's helpful as well, but as Kelly said, you don't know where that actually went.
Right.
Now, but usually a referral, internal referral, even if it's not the recruiting person or the HR person, will move you into a different category. That's the category where you have about a 50% chance of being contacted. So, that's 25 times greater chance if you just know someone in the company who's sponsoring you.
Okay. Walt, did you have a comment you wanted to make?
Well, of course.
Hopefully you'll put it in poetry mode, okay?
Yeah, well, there's good news and bad news. I have opinions. So Kelly, based on your situation, perhaps an approach like this, I really like your idea of contacting the alumni, finding other people, validate that that's the culture and not just one person's opinion, because you don't know that that's just because one person says it's that way, doesn't mean it's that way. And I believe Mark is correct. Recruiters, they don't like people going around them because that's their job. And so you're kind of threatening them. But if you can find other contacts in the company to validate that, or that, the better they know you, the more they want to help you, the more rules they'll break. If they find somebody that would really be good for the company and excited about that, and they'll go forward with that and do that. So it not necessarily have to be, I remember when the company says, oh, we're going to freeze hiring. We only hired 200 people the next month. So, there's always things that's going on. So I would go that approach. And secondly, if you're striking out so far, why not strike out one more time and go right to the manager? What's the harm, right? You're not getting anywhere. So maybe it's the last step that you take to try not to, alienate people. But shoot, if it's a company you really want to work for, don't give up. Just go for it.
I think, I forget who says this, the best answer you can get is, number one answer you can get is yes. The second best answer you can get is no, because then to move on. Otherwise, when you don't have that no, you're just in that limbo and you just sort of keep hoping and you don't sleep at night and whatever, you're thinking about other things. So, the quicker you can get the one or two, the better off you are, I think, mentally.
And some no's are really not nows.
Right.
They're not forever no.
As I talked about yesterday when I was doing a workshop for Career yesterday, I said, when you get a no from a recruiter, mark in your calendar 60 days from now and reach back out to anybody who tells you no and just let them know. Just wanted to let you know, I really enjoyed talking with you. I'm still in job search. I didn't know if any new opportunities have opened up at your company. And you just do that every 60 days. Every 60 days after you get that no, because you never know what they didn't need back then, maybe they do need now. And you're staying on top of mind with them. All right. Any other comments? All right. How about another question?
I was wondering if anybody was familiar with the contractors that Southwest Airlines uses. I had a very good informational interview with an individual who works at Southwest Airlines, and I have gone to their site and joined their talent pool, and they automatically refer you to their temporary site, which uses a company called Hyrogenics. And I was wondering if anybody ever heard of it. The woman I talked to couldn't remember the name of the contract firm, where she worked for 6 months at Southwest Airlines before they hired her full time. But hygienics seems to be associated with Southwest. And I was wondering if anybody knew anything.
Anybody know? I will say this, that Deborah, are you here in the DFW area?
I am, yes.
If you want to come join us for pizza next week, Bobby and Sue Ellen will be with us. And I believe their son works at Southwest. So maybe you can talk to them and they will maybe pass your name along or make that connection. So
all right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Anybody
Now,
else?
I have a second question if I can ask it.
Yes, please.
Is anybody familiar with the CalPER, CALIPER assessment tool? I applied for a position, moved to the second round, and they wanted me to do the CalPER assessment. I mistakenly assumed that it was just a personality assessment, and I had double checked with a management consultant that does personality assessments before, and he told me it's a valid assessment, blah, blah, blah. But then there was a second assessment that asks all those kind of questions like you took on the SAT 30 years ago. Jeff has 5 bananas, Mark has 4 watermelons. How many grapefruits will Walt get at the grocery store? So does anybody know, and I guess I can just YouTube this, but good practice tests for that, because, whoa, I didn't get a third interview. Nope. And it was for a marketing job. I mean, it was a financial securities firm, so I can understand, like on the financial side, why you would have to have that, but thank
Many
you.
companies in Europe are using this kind of test. I know, but because my wife applied for a position in Europe, and they are using this kind of test. But usually they have a particular name, and you can Google it and be aware that you have math tests, personality tests. You have these kind of figures that if you have this figure, what is the sequence that you need to follow? You have a limited time to do it. I don't know what is the result, because you don't have any results. It's about them, and it's about your time and how many screens you were able to resolve. Because if you resolve a lot, you will be getting more screens because your score is going higher. But I don't have that experience in the United States. I have this experience recently with one position, like I say, in Europe, but I didn't know that they were using that in the United States.
In the chat box, they put down, there's an app called JobFlare, JOBFLARE, for practice test.
Thank you.
So you can check it out and see if that would help.
And of course, I could have passed the logic assessment and just failed the personality test.
You never know when you take those tests and they're looking for somebody that, however they're going to rate those things, you never know what they're looking for. I mean, and you can't beat those tests. There's no way to beat them. I mean, back in the day, I used to joke, well, before you start to take one, take a stiff drink and just first answer that comes to mind, just throw it in there, because it is what it is. I remember I had a personality test for this one. I mean, it was a perfect job for me, but apparently I didn't fit the profile for the personality test to meet what they were looking for the fit category, whatever. But, just move on. Listen, half the time those tests are wrong. I think that they'll statistically show that, yes, you can hire a better candidate by having them fill it out and find what they're looking for. But I think statistics will show that it's still a 50-50. They may work out, they may not work out. Maybe they're a good test taker, maybe they're not a good test taker. That, good workers don't necessarily take good tests.
I'll add one thing. There was a study done where they took all the top salespeople and gave them personality tests and put them into 4 quadrants, and they were all over the map. And then they took the managers and did their personality test, and they fit primarily in those two quadrants. The salespeople that fit in those two quadrants were more successful than the salespeople that did not. That was because of management and leadership. Therefore, take the test. If it doesn't match them, so be it. I mean, you know, if they're looking for a different personality, then you probably won't be that successful there. So just go with the flow, take it, move on to the next one.
Yeah, just think you got answer number 2, so you can move on. Instead of just hanging on, not knowing anything. Oh, here's another one. Gary Stillman says the Wonderlic test is a common test like the SAT. I guess Wonderlic is what the football players use, they offer the
They have
NFL players. Gary, go ahead.
I was just agreeing with you. Yes.
Oh, okay. Very good. So that may be, I'm sure you can find those. Yeah, there's probably plenty of those online someplace. All right, what else can we address for somebody?
Okay, I will be open the game here. What do you think about video message? Like you are saying thank you for the interview and you are sending a video. I'm not 100% with that. I'm not 100% that an executive will be watching this kind of message if it's not serious, right? Usually you don't have the time to watch a video and you have the time to read a message. And that's the difference between the paper, the email, write it email, or the message in video. Also, I'm not really good with videos, but that's my personal perception, right? No, I'm open this because I understand that you need to be confident with the camera, with the video, and with everything in the interview, but with the video message, I'm not 100% with that.
So is anybody else sending video thank yous or video messages out? What are your opinions of video messages? Would you open it if you got one? I'm gonna start calling on people here.
Well, as someone in her previous job that clicked on a link that I had to run down 2 flights of stairs and find the director of operations and have them, you know, stop everything, I would just be wary that my video link wouldn't be opened because in companies, you're just told not to click on them.
Right. I think, yeah, you got to, yeah, I think that would be a lot of company firewalls are going to prevent videos from making it through. Yeah.
Hey, get ready, it's coming. I mean, they might have a special way in HR to allow it to happen, but you know, I've thought through this idea because as many of you probably know, Trevor and Mark and who you know and Foster, this is one of the big pieces of their puzzle of their training session. So, you know, if you want to learn more about all this video, thank you, video posting to get attention, they're great people to talk to because they've been doing it for multiple years now. They've got information on results and stuff that they can help you. I mean, you know, it's not unlike getting over the public speaking issue for many people. They're very uncomfortable. I would also say that in certain professions, you got to be a little more careful than others. You know, I'm coming out of the accounting and finance world, and I would say that if there's a group of people that probably are hesitant to go this route, it would be the accounting and finance, the very conservative accounting and finance arena. But like we've all, especially those of us who are a little bit older, we got to find new tricks and ways to overcome hurdles. And, you know, if you've been looking for 6 months plus and you're not getting much activity and you're doing a lot of the things that we talk about in these search meetings, why not give something different a try?
And you don't necessarily have to have BombBomb, which is what they promote. I mean, if
right.
Everybody here can have a free Zoom account. And with Zoom, you can sit there and you can hit record your message, and then stop it, and then you can post it someplace, or, you could post it on YouTube, you could, whatever it is you want to do. I think the key to those messages is, number one, you've got to keep it short, no more than 45 seconds maximum. I do like the little thing that they use. They show that little whiteboard just to have a message. I think that's not a bad, yep, here we go. Just something, to say thank you. Yeah, you just did a paper message. Perfect. It's something a little bit different, but keep it short. But I would also, if you attach it to an email, and if you use Zoom, Zoom really compresses things down, and a 1 minute or a 45-second video will be very small, a very small attachment. But I would also make sure in the email that you send, send that thank you note and say, I hope you'll watch my video. I hope you watch the attached video. Let them know what's in the video, because maybe they will have a better, they may, if they're going to open it, they will possibly open it. Okay.
Yeah, another good person to talk to about some of this stuff is Jeff Crilly, who's in that's where his life's work has been. He runs Real News. He is super open to talking to anybody. So if you've got any questions,
he's actually our speaker next Friday. So and great question to ask him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So he's a good source.
Right. Any other comments about video thank yous? Or video messages?
I'm just going to weigh in. It's not something that I'd feel comfortable with. I mean, I think we all have increased our level of comfort being on camera because of Zoom. I'll admit, two thoughts. One is maybe it's a generational thing. I am Gen X. Yes, I am. I'm not as comfortable with that. But if I'm interviewing with someone who is younger than me, and potentially a millennial who is much more comfortable with the use of video and social media tools, may make sense, And then the second thought that occurs is depending on the type of position you're going for. As Michael said, if it's something more formal, like a accounting, a CPA position, engineering, maybe not. But if it's marketing, advertising, media, for example, then I think that you could stand out, which is one of the things that they advocate. So maybe again, generational or given the type of industry or position you're applying for. But to Michael's point, you might want to check out, if you haven't, Trevor's presentation. Actually, Jeff, we could play that back. He was one of your guests, I think, on Interviewing Monday and how to use Bonbon videos. So, or Networking Monday rather. And you can play that back and see he's a big advocate for it. So there might be some use for it. I might try, but his suggestion was practice with friendly people first to get comfortable before you send it out. So there you go.
So I'm going to add on to your comment, Kelly, and what I said. And, banking, accounting, engineering, definitely more conservative. But think about it. If probably nobody else is doing the video stuff, so you get more bang. And like I said, if you're not getting the results you want, why not try something new? And, you don't have to fill up a full minute of discussion in a video. It can be very short, especially the thank you. You're just send them a note to thank you, say thank you and be on your way. But you don't know and it doesn't just have to be the millennials that you're having an impact on. You're doing something different, and it might work.
Right.
I don't think it hurts you unless you do something stupid, or a lot of people have things in their background that are inappropriate or aren't a good idea. Make sure you scan your background to make sure there's not a book in your bookshelf that you're going to be embarrassed for somebody to see. Because a lot of people are going to take that, if there's stuff in your background, and they're going to zoom it up to see what's in there. So
yeah, I'm looking last night. I was on a conference call, the big one that's out of the Atlanta area. And I'm looking right now for the background so I can show it to you and tell me if you see anything wrong with this picture. Because I copied it. Where did it go? Here we go. All right, let me make it bigger. Give me just a second here. All right, let me share the screen. You tell me if you see something that's not. Anybody see anything wrong with the background? So what do you think? Out of 800 people, is this somebody you'd hire? You know?
You manufacture
Just a big
ammunition.
gun.
Well, right. I mean, I guess if you were manufacturing ammunition, that'd be one thing. But to me, that's not a background you put out for the public. But it was just like, I had to capture that because it was like, that is just, yeah, unbelievable. So, yes.
So my son had his first virtual interview last week. And I'm asking him questions because he didn't check with me or find anything out. And I said, so what was in the background of your, because he didn't get to move on. So what was in the background? And he said, well, the ceiling fan. And I said, okay, if you do another virtual interview, you got to put your laptop up on boxes so it's looking straight at you, and make sure there's no dirty clothes on the floor or pictures. And people just don't think. Some of them don't think.
Yeah, I know every time my kids have both had job interviews here at the house over the years, and they always would go to one place in our sunroom where behind them there's this really sort of modern picture, and that would be their background. And they said a couple of times that became a topic. They said people would say, well, tell me more about that picture in the background.
Yeah.
You know, but it was just generic. It wouldn't offend anybody. It wouldn't, you know, it's not something you'd stare at too long. You still focus in. I mean, on Kelly's picture, I'm looking at the books on her shelf right now just to see what's back there. Not that I wish I could zoom in to see more, but, you know, or read the certificates behind Raul just to see what's there. So, you know, I think you do need to sort of be, it's important. Like you said, Mike, it's really important. There was a question. I see somebody put in the chat box, can you please one more time address how to handle with HR the question of the salary that I'm looking for? Mark.
Isn't this the question that Walt's so good at answering?
Oh, Walt. Oh, well, I don't, either one. I'm sure Walt will give his opinion afterwards. So whoever wants to take it first.
Yeah, Walt and I differ a little bit. You know, I'll just say a little bit though. My perspective is if you're unemployed, that you know, should know the number, and how you present it is a different thing. Now, a lot of people will tell you that, you know, you don't want to present the number, that you should postpone till you have more information. It, you know, kind of depends on when they ask. But, you know, just my 2 cents, and then Walt can speak, is that if you're unemployed, you ought to know your number, and you know, you ought to offer it up. So after you find out what their budget is. But go ahead, Walt.
I'm going to chime in real quick here. I've learned, not recently, but a lot of people strongly advise over not using the word negotiable if you are talking about salary. You can say flexible, that the employer's not there really to negotiate. You can be flexible, but don't use the word negotiable.
I'll give a couple of perspectives. The first perspective is who's asking, why are they asking, and where are you in the process? So it's obviously a knockout question right up front. All right. You don't want to be knocked out. And then what can you do to keep the process moving? But if everything has taken place, you've interviewed everybody there is to interview, half the company, you've been through it for weeks, whatever it might be, and you're talking to the person who's making the decision on your salary, and the question is asked there. Very different response there, because I might say, well, it sounds like you're ready to make me an offer, right? Are we ready to discuss an offer? And so that's the response I would give there. So it really depends on where you are. It's most often a knockout question. Number one, do your research. Find out. BLS.gov, salary.com are great company provided data websites for industry, location, and job information on salary ranges. BLS.gov includes experience levels. They give you some great information. So instead of saying, I'm just looking for something for the market, you know what the market is, and you'll have that information when you walk in, all right? So the size of the company makes a big difference. If it's a smaller size company, they might not be able to afford what you're really worth. So there's other decisions that go into that parameter. Sometimes they're trying to lowball you, other times they just can't, go any further. So there's a lot of scenarios and different times that this question comes up and how you would do your response. Your options are give a number. All right, I would suggest you give a range, but you can give a number, but I would add to it a question which says, but I am interested. What is your range? What is your budget? What is your proposed salary? Okay. And there's some reasons you might want to delay. So if you want to try to delay, you can't do what a lot of people do. Says basically they use a sentence that's equivalent to, I don't want to talk about it now. All right. They say it not quite that bluntly, but it's, I'd rather talk about it later, or let's discuss this later when, and just take over the interview. So you don't want to do it in that fashion. But when you don't want to answer a question directly, you ask permission to stray off of their agenda, and actually to change their agenda. So would it be all right with you if we spent some more time finding out about the job, et cetera, the expectations, the authority levels I have, the responsibilities, and the achievements you expect from me. But I am interested, what is your range? So you can try to delay, but you still nail it with that question, but I am interested in what is your range? So there's some options there. You got to decide, which is best for you. If it's a company you really want to work for, you want to keep the process going. Another phrase that you can use if you want to give a number is say, based upon what I know now. That's a very good phrase, because you might not know very much of anything in the beginning, and you might know a lot more later on. But at the end of the interview, all bets are off. All right. All of a sudden, what you've told me is what you want is you're looking for really a hero, a super person, somebody to come in. That's worth more money, more benefits, whatever it might be. So, and generally the salary question excludes all the other things. It excludes all the benefits and things like that, which is a major part of the decision. I strongly suggest you do not use the word benefits until they offer, because it sends a message that I'm really looking for benefits, which is true, but we don't want to send that message necessarily. So with all that in mind, you've got some options of how you can handle it, but know your stuff when you go in. And then you just, make your best decision on what you think is the most appropriate answer.
Michael made a good comment in the chat box about the fact that check your trade journals for whatever career you're in, because most trade journals will have, an annual salary guide. I know I just got mine a month ago that had the annual salary for manufacturing, shipping, distribution people in it, and all those salaries across the country broken down by job titles and where it's heading. So that's always another very good tool to use. Yeah. Also, another good word, two other words I think to use is to say fair and equitable. That I'm sure that whatever you're going to pay is going to be fair and equitable. If those who've heard Steve Zipkoff talk in the past, he sort of makes a joke out of it, going, well, my manufacturer suggested retail price is $125,000 a year. Now I can't work for free. And so I'm sure that whatever you and I can work out will be something that's fair and equitable. I've used that a couple of times actually in an interview. I didn't want the job, but it was fun. It was fun to say, and the other person smiled and laughed. It was a chuckle on their part. So, just one of those things that you can sort
So
of.
on June 16th, the interview webinar is going to spend half of the session just on this topic. And if you want to go back to Career USA YouTube channel, then you look in mid-February and you'll find the same topics discussed that we discussed earlier in the year.
Right.
So Walt, could you talk a little bit about how to handle that question when it's coming from a recruiter at the company or earlier on in the process?
Let's assume it's the first question. Hi, I'm Walt Glass. It's great to meet you, Mike. I think I've got a great position for you. What are your salary requirements? Okay. So how do you handle, we'll kind of right out the door a knockout question. Say, well, I'd love to answer that question, but can you tell me anything about the job? Can you tell me anything about it? You don't have to just answer that question right away. You can ask for some information to help you determine that answer. Tell them that you're willing to answer the question, but so can you give me any indication or any information whatsoever about the job so that it would help me answer that question? There are some that don't know the answer to that. They just they've been working for the recruiting agency about 3 months now. They do screening calls. They have a list of questions, and that's one of them. And they write down the answer and pass it on to somebody else. So if they don't give you any information at all, they don't necessarily give you the company name, but they say, what type of company is it? What type of role? You got to give me some information about that. And if they just refuse to do all that, you have an option to say, well, I'm not at liberty to understand enough information to give you a good answer for that, because it all depends on these kinds of factors. And stop, just let them hang up. That's an option that you can give. The other option is what Mark says, okay? Well, depending on the role or depending on based on those kind of things, I would expect something in the neighborhood of this. What range do they have for this position? All right, you always come back and ask that, because almost every recruiter has a range and knows about what that job's going to pay. So they have a number. They may not be at liberty to discuss.
And also remember that recruiters get paid more if you get paid more. So they don't want to lowball you. I mean, if it's an external recruiter, if it's an internal recruiter, yeah, they're trying to just get what they can get. But if it's an external recruiter, and I guess we also, when we talk about recruiter, we need to clarify who we're talking about.
Right.
But if it's an external recruiter, the more you get paid, the more they get paid. So
another thing you might want to keep in mind if you're interviewing for a nonprofit, all nonprofits will file a 990, and on the 990 will be the compensation section. Now, if you're applying for a manager or coordinator role, obviously those salaries aren't going to be on there, but it's going to tell you something about the company culture. You're going to be able to see the salaries of the top executives, and so you'll have that in the back of your mind. And if their range for your coordinator or manager level is like really low, then it tells you a lot about the culture. It tells you where they value the level of contribution that's below the senior executive level. And that helps you in making a decision, not about what to ask so much, but about whether it's a right cultural fit for you when you know that. It gives you a lot of insights that maybe you can't voice ever in an interview, but it helps you gauge sort of where the culture is.
Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good for me for a career DFW and filing my 990, and I file that I make $0 a year. I guess that doesn't say good things about the about career DFW. So I guess you don't want to get employed at career DFW.
Yes, Jeff, but I mean, how many zeros do you pay yourself?
Oh, that's true. There's a bunch of zeros, just no number in front of that zero.
I want to say thank you to Walt, because Walt, the advice that you gave really could have helped me yesterday, but it's definitely something I'm going to put into practice moving forward. And I really like the based on what I know now and then giving a range, because I think commonly what I'm starting to experience now is recruiters contacting me through LinkedIn. And one gave a very comprehensive job description that I would have felt comfortable doing the requested thing, which was submitting a resume and then my salary range. And I submitted the resume, but I didn't feel comfortable with the range because, I mean, I've got quite a spread depending on what the job responsibility is for my range. But I really like the idea of based on what I know now and just kind of giving that spread because it leaves the door open, to be flexible, as Michael said. And then if the range is based on the type of position and realistic, then that kind of works. So thank you for that. I think that helped me. I don't know if you have any additional advice of like working with recruiters on LinkedIn who say, give me your resume and your salary negotiations, but that seems to be like a good tack to take.
And a lot of companies are not asking that question anymore. I mean, or they're not asking what you made at your last company, but they're asking because they can't. A lot of 14 states, I think, now say you can't ask that question, but a lot of states, they can still say, what's your range? So yeah, and you have to be, that's one of those things I think when you start looking for a job, you sort of have to know, well, here's what my minimum salary is to survive. And maybe your kids are no longer living at the house anymore and you don't need the amount of money you used to make. And maybe you don't want a job that's quite as stressful as what you used to have. So your range can be a little bit bigger. So there's always those, you need to evaluate those numbers.
Well,
All right, what else can we talk about?
I
Oh, go
want to
ahead,
say
Walt.
one thing to Kelly. Kelly, your smile and you're looking into the camera is fantastic. A great job.
I was going to say Walt left out one that is one of my favorites for delaying, especially at the beginning when you don't have any information. Walt, remember, you can say, I'd love to answer that question and I'll call you back or send you an email as soon as I receive the job description. So.
Kip Lipson actually did that. I was sitting with him. We were working on that Reference USA presentation, and he got a call. He said, "I'd be glad to answer you, but can you send me a job description?" Okay, well, when you give me the job description, I'll answer that question.
So that's for the case where they ask early in the process. And then my favorite phrase is for the responsibilities of this position. Okay, so, and that works well anytime because you're continually learning about the responsibilities of the position. But as Jeff pointed out, you can go on BLS.gov and find out what the range is. So if a recruiter calls you and let's say we got this project management job, and what are your salary requirements are, and you can try delaying, but you may want to say something like, are we talking, if we're talking about a project manager with 5 years of experience in the industry that you're representing, then I would expect for the responsibilities of this position and give a range. Okay. And so let's say you looked on BLS.gov or salary.com and that range is, they give pretty specific numbers and it's based on the local region as well. BLS.gov is based on the area you live in. So let's say the numbers you get on BLS.gov is, 88K to, 95K. Well, you might say, mid 80s to high 90s. Okay, so you're going to put a range on a range, right? So it's based on data, but you want to expand it a little bit because early in the process, as Walt said, it's a knockout question. And so you just cast a wide net so you don't fall. So at least part of your answer falls within their range. And then, of course, you want to say, what is your range? Or I'm curious to know if that fits your budget. What is your budget? I think we beat that one to death, but there's a lot of scenarios. So.
Right. Okay, what else can we talk about? What other questions does somebody have? Lily, I see your hand up, maybe? Yes, no? Question somebody else has? Oh, she took her hand down. Oh, it was my mouse on top of Lily. That's why I had the little hand there. I guess I can move people around. Another question somebody has. Anybody else have a question or are we done? Everybody knows everything. There's nothing else we need to find out.
How do you respond to a rejection from an interviewer. You thought you were going to land, you know, you were the last two, and they waited and waited. And then all of a sudden you got the rejection letter. Now you want to send them a thank you for interviewing and stay in touch. I've never been able to feel like I get it right. I know I have to send two that I just got rejected for recently. And I'd want to make sure in general, and for the others that may have this, get kind of the wording a little bit.
Suggestions, anybody? Keep it real positive. Thank them very much for their time. I really enjoyed meeting you and the team. And, you know, hopefully there'll be future opportunities for us to work together again. Done. Short, sweet, simple. And then once again, like I said to Kelly earlier, go mark in your calendar, and 60 days from now, send them another note and say, hey, just want to let you know I'm still on my job search. I really enjoyed meeting you and the team. I didn't know if maybe there's any new possibilities. We've had 2 people out of this Friday group over the years I've been doing this who did that, and they actually then got the job. The person they hired either didn't fit or talked a good game and couldn't do the job, or they just didn't like the person. They blew that person out and brought in that person without any more interviews. Well, they brought one more interview to bring you back in, but they brought that person in and offered them the job, and they blew out the other person because they realized that they may have made a mistake. So just be cordial, be nice, be friendly. Thank them very much. And you look forward to future possibilities with a great company.
Especially if you definitely would be interested. If you're not
Right.
interested, it might be a different scenario. The other thing is, you know, a lot of evaluation periods, whether they're stated or not, are 90 days. So, you know, start at 60 and stay in communication, especially right before that 90-day period. You know, that last 15, 20 days, because what Jeff's talking about is true. And you know, you mentioned 2 times. I think that happens a lot more, especially in today's business world. I mean, companies are much quicker to cut the cord and move on. And if they got, you know, the great thing is they've already been through the process. And if you present yourself, they don't have to spend all that money going back and starting over again. Especially if they liked you. And
If you made it to the final 1 or 2, they like you.
Yeah. So I would work that hard and heavy, especially for companies that were high on your target list.
Anyone from Pittsburgh, I totally agree with.
There you go.
Well, I would say this, let a thank you note be more than a thank you note. I mean, just saying thank you. I spent a considerable amount of time when a person said, I'm looking for these target companies. I went into LinkedIn, looked at potential contacts, seconds, how I knew them, whatever it is, put a table together, sent it to them, and got an email back that said, thanks. And that was it. And I said, well, my goodness, I never heard another word. I never knew if they contacted anybody or, you know, whatever might have happened. So we want to be positive. So if it's a company that's your target company, you don't want to stop your communications with that company. Give them something positive. Say something about the company that's positive. Focus on what you can do for them. Don't focus on a particular job, because the job may not be the exact role. They may go create another job for you. They may raise your pay. I mean, the salary they initially talked about was different at the beginning than it is now at the end. So all those opportunities exist. So put something very positive into the note about the individual that you talked to. I like what you said about these things. I really enjoy the company. I like the company because, and a couple of things on that. And I look forward to doing the types of things where I can help you achieve. Then you list some achievements that you would, you know, that you can help them do something. That kind of thank you note is much different than say, thank you for taking the time to talk with me. Certainly you can include that, but make it more than just a simple thank you note.
Yeah, I would agree. And keep in mind, like Walt said, I mean, if you've gone down the road in this process and you're the last 2 to 3 candidates, and your interview process went well, and especially if you clicked with any particular person there, you made a good impression to get to that end point. Well, guess who might be a great source of opportunities outside of that company? I mean, be careful about it, but you can go back and maybe even meet with one of those people that you thought you connected with and tell them, hey, my first choice would be to work at your company, but since there's not an opportunity currently, can we sit down and talk about other people that you know that I might contact about possibilities? I mean, you made a great impression. And I like what Walt just said. That one particular job, especially at places like Southwest Airlines and others that have that kind of personality, if you make a great impression and you ask, you're turned down for the one that you asked for, ask if there are other opportunities to be considered for. If you really made a great impression, a lot of times they will approach you, but why wait for them? Express to them, hey, I want to work at this company. I'm sorry I didn't get that particular opportunity. Are there others we can talk about?
There's a question in the chat box. Here, it's a little long, so let me read it here. I applied for a job, went through 4 rounds of interviews. The recruiter personally called me to let me know that they were going with someone else and if they could contact me in case something else came up. It was a good conversation. 2 weeks later, the job is posted again and I'm not the next person they reach out to. What should my next step be?
Is this an internal recruiter or an external recruiter?
Internal.
Well, my first reaction to this is, was the recruiter speaking or the company speaking? So, I mean, it's entirely possible that the new posting is being handled by a different recruiter, either internal or external. And so the recruiter you were working with is not even aware that a new posting has come up for a similar position. I don't know that necessarily that it might even be the same position. It might be a similar position. I mean, it may be the same title, but it might be in a different department or something. So
contact them and ask about it.
Yeah, reach out to them. Yeah,
it might be a different position. And like Mark just said, even the internal recruiters don't always know what the other one's doing.
Right.
So if you see stuff that interests you, doesn't hurt to contact them and ask about it.
Right. To put a little more details in here, it's a very specific role, so it looks like it could be the same position, but you never know. And also, maybe after they've interviewed everybody, they decided that, maybe we need somebody with a little bit different skills, or maybe we're looking for somebody, a little bit different. But yeah, definitely reach out. Well, it can't hurt. I mean, what's going to happen? You get a yes or you get a no. What are the 2 best answers you can get?
Yes or no.
I would say persistence is one of the most valuable tools you can have in this process. Don't make up reasons in your head why things are happening or not happening. If you want it, go for it. Even when people turn you away, if that is still your dream job or even something close, keep after it. Sometimes persistence wins the day.
Yeah, Jason put a great comment in the chat box going, sometime the ATS will automatically repost a position. So the recruiter may not even know it got reposted again. So you just never know, because if they didn't go close it out, it may automatically repost so it gets to the very top.
I need 2 of them.
Right.
And I see something that she said, that Rocky said something about in LinkedIn. Again, there's something I just learned from applying for a position. Somehow LinkedIn allows companies to steal the info off LinkedIn and redirect them to their sites, the other aggregators out there. So what y'all probably preach, and most people would, is you can apply through LinkedIn or those aggregators, but go to the company website, and if it's still posted, apply there as well, and then do all the stuff that y'all preach, networking in, yada, yada. Because I never knew that. I knew LinkedIn, if you apply the recruiter at the internal recruiter, if it goes right to them, which it should, it gets to them. But if the aggregator is different, if it takes you to an outside of LinkedIn, it doesn't say you applied for it, then it's not going to them. It's going to some other company. So better then at that point to go to the website. And if it's not listed, try to find somebody there and saying you're interested, as Mike says, pursue.
So I'm gonna add something here I haven't heard talked about in a while. Lots of companies, especially right now in Dallas, Fort Worth, are desperate for people in certain roles. Go to the company website before you fill out the online application and find somebody or somehow connected to. A lot of these companies, especially the middle-sized, the bigger ones, are offering bonuses to employees. What better way to get an internal champion than to establish contacts, identify the role, and see if they will hand deliver your resume and, fight for you. I mean, heck, if it means money to them, guess what they're going to do? And a lot of people just go apply online to these LinkedIn things and all that stuff. If I see something I like, first thing I do is go to that company, see if I know anybody that works there or any way I'm connected there. And that's the route I take almost 100% of the time.
And Mike, you're right. The one thing I would say about finding somebody on the inside, which is great. An example is there was a position I was interested in, and my uncle worked at the company. But I didn't realize that it asked for any internal people. He said, although it does that, if you should have, reached out to me first, of which, side note, I did several times and I didn't want to wait, but he said he didn't get anything from it, even though I didn't get the hired. He said he wouldn't have gotten anything from it if he didn't put in something personally and then I apply for it. So you are correct. They do get something out of it, and you are right. Try to find somebody, but I would also add, don't wait too long.
Well, even when there's not a cash payment for these folks, say I'm looking for a role in the accounting department and I know somebody at the company who works there. Even if they don't get a cash bonus, if they bring somebody to their boss who ends up getting hired and doing a good job, guess what? That has a positive impact on their career. The other thing I'll say is a year ago or so, I was heavily getting alerts from Raytheon and pursuing things, but I always went to my 3 or 4 people I knew over there to put it in, because Raytheon was paying crazy referral bonuses. There was a guy at Raytheon that in less than 6 months made $30,000 in referral bonuses. And the crazy thing about that was, at the time, Raytheon's HR department wasn't getting a lot of referrals from employees. Well, when the word got out that this guy made $30,000 in less than 6 months referring people, their referrals went crazy. The employees were actually looking for people to refer to. So, play all the games you can that give you leverage. And that's one of them that a lot of people don't pursue very often.
All right, something else. We've got time for one more question. One more dilemma, one more issue.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for, I asked about this with the moderators here before, but two things I actually have. One is, have a job that you're doing on the side and put it on your resume. I mean, it's better to have that than just seeking employment. And my question to the group was, I've been doing stuff on the side all through my career. Should I have the dates so they don't rub up against other full-time work I've had? And I guess the consensus was no, you know, just explain it that you're doing things on the side. So that's one point. Two is, it's always easier to find a job when you have a job. I think recruiters definitely approach you more when you got something that you're doing currently. The other thing is I know we don't like to talk about it, but look at all the pictures on here. And when I am in the face-to-face meetings, most of us are on the backside of our careers. Don't use that as an excuse, but realize it will get talked about in the back room decision-making. So you have one chance in your interviews to address things like age. Make sure you're energetic. Make sure you talk to them about your physical activity, and that if you're not working out, start working out so you're not lying. You know, find positive things that indicate that age will not be an issue. You know, I'm in my mid-60s. I make sure they know that I don't intend to retire. I love what I do. And so I totally intend, you know, it might be 10 years down the road, but I make sure that they know that. Because, you know, we've had people come back from interviews saying, oh, I'm so glad they didn't ask me any questions about my age. Well, guess what? You missed your only opportunity to positively address the things that they are thinking about, even though they don't ask them.
All righty.
Jeff, before you wrap up, I would like to plug your smiley face sheet. So I received a compliment on my eye focus and smiling, and I want to say I printed it out and I posted it right here next to my webcam, and it's great. So thank you. And if you haven't shared that with the group in a while, maybe you want to put it in the chat, but
Maybe
it does help and keep one focus. So thanks again.
I'll attach it to the email that I sent out today. So yeah, I mean, mine has a hole in it so that I can put it right over the camera. So it just reminds me where to look at. So just you know, just reminds you to smile and where to look, and because sometimes you forget that you need when you're talking, you need to focus on that camera so you can focus on, you know, staring at what you're looking at.
Bring some of those to lunch with you, Jeff.
Well, no, I only have them I just went online and just copied them and put them on a sheet and made different sizes on a sheet of paper to cut out. So you cut it out or print it out on hard paper or something, so that, you know, you can do that for you. So, okay, let's wrap it up here right now. If you haven't put your information into the chat box, please do so we can capture everybody's information. I will publish that information this afternoon, and I'll get it out to everybody, so that you can maybe, you know, try to help somebody look over the list this weekend and see who you can reach out and who you can help. Career DFW and Career USA, that other organization, not the one that pays me nothing. We put on training 5 days a week. Today or yesterday's was our 287th workshop that we've put on. So, you know, join us. Today at 1 o'clock, Women of Wisdom will be meeting. They meet the first and third Friday of the month. To be invited, you do need to send an email to wow@careerdfw.org to be invited. It is women only. It is by invitation only. So if you'd like to join the group, they'll be firing up here today at 1 o'clock. Next Monday, our speaker is Charlie Zinger, who's going to talk about networking tips and techniques. So he'll be with us. Many of you may know Charlie. He's been a long time member of the team out at the South Lake Focus Group. On Tuesday, our LinkedIn presentation will be how to create a LinkedIn brand that tells your key contacts who you are, what you do, and how you help. This is Terry Sullivan from BuzzPro. This session will not be recorded. He does not allow those sessions to be put out in public. So it will be on Facebook, but I'll be deleting it off of Facebook as soon as the session's over. Next Wednesday, as we've already mentioned, for interviewing Wednesdays, session number 6, interview opening, closing, and follow-up. Next Thursday, Carol will not be with us for interviewing for effective resumes, but Locke Alderson will be with us to talk about the resume is not dead. So if you want to hear a little bit different angle on the resumes, please join us next Thursday. And also you'll have an opportunity to win a month's use of unlimited use of jobscan.co, a great way to compare your resume to the job description. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page, and I'll upload it to the Career USA YouTube channel later this afternoon. Please follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. The more subscribers, the better. You get, as we've gotten more people subscribing, you get more features are added on. And maybe, just maybe, starting next week, all of our sessions will be live on LinkedIn also. So I got permission to go on LinkedIn Live, so I'm working on getting that hooked up. So that may be a possibility. On the Career USA YouTube channel, there's the playlist. Click on playlist, and then up will come all the different lists that we've got created. And then underneath, don't click on the video, select the one you want, but click where the red arrow says view full playlist. And then up will come a list of all the different topics that we've talked about. So you can go back and you can see anything that we've talked about in the past. For all the North Dallas ones, if you want to get to the discussion part, be sure to go in about 30 minutes before when the speaker starts. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you hopefully one day next week.